Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to teach you how to change the board in HME Beltpacks. Now this is true with all HME Beltpacks, including the ones for football coaches, the ones for drive-through, you name it. However, the board is different for each one. The boards, although the hardware may be the same, but the software and the product ID and frequency and what have you are not the same. They have a serial port that can be programmed. From the serial port you can program this ST chip to work with, convert each one to each other, but that software is proprietary HME software and no one has access to that software. So because of that you have to get the correct board in order to replace it. Where do you get the boards? I'll leave a link in the description so that you know where you can get the boards. The boards are again different for the one for the drive-through, the one for intercoms, rack mount intercoms like IC1, IC2. I'm talking about BP300, BP210 is a different board, BP300 and Com6000. These are the different versions of this build pack, and they all have a different board. I'm replacing the one for BP300 Football Coach. Alright, so let's get started and see how we do this. To replace this board, what you need is two types of screwdrivers. One is a star-shaped screwdriver, T8, size T8, star-shaped. You can use a screwdriver. I'm using automatic one, but you can use a manual one as well, doesn't matter. Either way, that's what you need. And for once you get inside, for the studs, you need a wrench type of driver, which is size, let's see what size is this, size 3/16. Let me go down so you can see it. 3/16. That's what you need for that. They're both standard American sizes, and it is not metric. Just something that I thought you should know. It's not a metric measurement. Okay, so first we open these 4 screws with this one. Let's get started. Okay, once you open this, keep in mind that some screws will come apart from their washer. That's a little washer right there. But some screws will come out with the washer, like that. And some screws will come with no washer. The ones that come out with no washer, that means the washer is stuck in here somewhere. So you have to use a little needle, small little needle, to find which one has a washer. There is the one. And then take the washer. Make sure when you put it, you have all your washers on your screws. Like that. 4 screws, 4 washers. And don't lose these because these screws are very hard to get. They are proprietary screws and extremely hard to get. Alright, so we open this. Now I'm going to show you how to take it apart. To take it apart, you need a prying tool in between this and that. So a best prying tool would be a guitar pick or something that wouldn't damage the casing. I have customized a knife. I made it completely dull so it doesn't cut. It doesn't cut you. And that's what I'm going to use. But I don't recommend you using a knife. It's very dangerous. So use a guitar pick. And try to slightly lift it up, very slightly. Remember, there's a gasket. There's a waterproof gasket, rubber ring, which could it could be stuck either on this side or on that side. So you have to be very careful. Okay, so I got lucky You don't get lucky all the time. The reason why I got lucky is that my gasket didn't come apart. Usually when you take it out, this rubber gasket will come apart and it will get stuck on this end, and you have to remove it and re-glue it on this side. But I happen to get lucky, and I don't have to do that. Okay. Next step. See this headphone connector? First, let me unplug this. To unplug this, you have to remove this first. You have to remove that first. There. Now you unplug this. You don't have to worry about which way this was, because it only goes in one way. The red goes on the very top, the white in the middle, the black at the bottom. That's the configuration. Now, as far as the headphone, same thing, it only goes in one way. So, take that out. So right now, these are the things I have taken out. And this is the replacement board that I want to put there. Okay. So, what do I do now? I open these 4 studs. I have to use this guy for that. This goes right on it, and then you just twist it. These are plastic, so you cannot over tie it because you will strip the threading. You have to be very, very careful on those. My drill, or I should say the clutch, will be on let me go to a different camera. So my clutch will be on number 2, because if I use 3, I will be stripping those plastic studs. So I'll go on number 2. That is when you're tying it. When you're opening, it doesn't matter what number you're in. When you're closing it, when you're putting it back together. Now this, the reason why they made this plastic, you would probably think, oh, they could have put metallic studs for better security, but no, that's for RF isolation. This is plastic for a good reason. These units are running at a very high frequency, and when you have a high frequency, any metallic object could act like a capacitor or like a coil if it's close to the RF source. So that's the reason why they use plastic, which is a genius idea. Okay, now what we need to do, you see that little plug? We have to lift the brown part up and release the cable. Watch carefully. Very, very gently lift it up, because if you lift it too much, it will break. If you lift it sideways, it will break. If you lift it from one edge, it will break. You have to go from the center and lift it up very gently, not with too much force. This will release this. Now you see the other one, you have to pull the tabs out. Watch. Pull the tabs out this way and this way. Now the cable will slide out like this. That's how the cable will slide out. Both these cables are plugged into this and this. Okay, so one goes to this, the other one goes to that, to the side. Now this is ready to come out. Just lift it up gently, very carefully. So there is my old defective board, and here's my new working board. Usually these boards don't go bad, so this Beltpack was dropped in water, and water went inside is the reason why we have to replace that board. Usually they don't go bad. Or if the battery leaks, or if there's other chemical spill and all that kind of stuff. Okay, now we will put, before I put this in, I will secure this board first. So to secure it, you put the studs on this first, and then you simply tie it like this. Watch. Remember, you must be in 2, because it will strip those plastic studs. Okay, all 4 studs are in. Now it's time to lift this and put the cable. make sure the cable is in all the way in, like that, all the way in, and make sure it's parallel. So basically the cable must be parallel, not like this or like that, all the way in, and not this way or that way. It has to be parallel. Okay, now this guy, you put in the cable and then you close the tabs. Okay, the cable is in. Now I'm closing the tabs. The tabs are closed, cable's in. Now it's time to put back this guy. Again, it only goes in one way. There you go. You put it here, but not yet. Okay, we have to plug this one first. As I mentioned, red goes on top, black goes at the bottom. It goes in only one way. Okay, that puppy's in. Now we put this guy. Now we put this guy. We make sure that gasket is all around and nice. Now we put our 4 screws. Each screw has a rubber washer. The washer makes it waterproof. As much as they try to make this waterproof, you can't have like 100% waterproof. There's still some water that could go in and damage it. I mean, water could go in through the headphone port, you know. Let's see. Okay. Now we remove this guy. We put back our star-shaped screwdriver. And let's remember number 2, so you don't strip the screws. The screws will not get stripped, but the plastic stand off. All of them are in. This one is not in as well. Let me go a little bit more on that one, just a little more. Everything looks good, and the puppy should work and operate normally. You have to have a headset to test it, but I'm just going to power it up, and there you go. It powers up like a charm. So that's how you replace the board on this one, and you know, on any of these. Now remember, we replaced it on a HME BP300 Beltpack 300, but the procedure is the same for the ones that are used in drive-through, but the board is not the same. So you have to order the correct board. Make sure if you're buying this for the board for drive-through, you have to buy the board for Com6000 blue or Com6000 red. They're different. They're not the same. They have a different battery plug. They have a different headphone configuration. So you have to make sure. And if you're buying it for the you know, intercom systems such as DX210, DX200, which has the buttons IC1, IC2, and all that, for that you have to get the right board, because that's completely different as well. Okay, thank you for watching. Please make sure to give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe.